Impact. Let's think impact. If a person's watching this content, most of the people that are watching this, a portion is going to be those that are haters, that just want to find like poke at the argument to find, you see, I told you, fine. But a lot of people that are also watching this, they're probably wanting to make impact. They want their life to have meaning behind it. That's who's watching this show today, right? Okay. So I can't be a president, but I want to make impact. I being anybody that's watching this. Because Putin says 8 years, another guy comes, or the guy with the briefcase shows up. Okay, cool. Well, if you were in the States and you're saying president wouldn't be how to make an impact, but let's say there is a kid who's 20 years old, 18 years old, 25 years old, has so much drive, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Ambition at the highest level. Who do you think has the biggest influence to make positive change, like real change? Is it the person with the money? Is it the person with the biggest mic? Is it the person that goes into politics? What is the best way to have the biggest impact?
Yeah, so I think the world has always only ever been a battle for influence. Even if you look at the current battlefield, Ukraine is next door. It's 5 hours drive away. The battle in Ukraine is not just about tanks and trenches and grenades. It's a battle for influence. Who influences the people within this territory? Who is in charge of the thinking, the language, the mindset of people within this geographical area? Every single battle, every single pitched battle, every single argument, every single debate has always been a battle for influence. If you have influence, you're an extremely powerful person. All of us here are some of the most powerful people in the world. How many millions of people listen to us? We have massive influence. And I think you can have influence at the ground level. You don't have to be a famous podcaster or famously well-known to have influence. I would argue that those Romanian grandmas who gave me my food will remember me for the rest of their lives. I would like to believe I gave a positive influence and a positive impact on their lives for the rest of their life. I believe if you go through life and you're genuinely a good person, and you try your best to be good to people, and you're honest, and you shake hands, and you don't lie, and you're on time, and you work hard, and you're good to everyone who's good to you, I think you'll have a massive influence. And I also believe, I truly believe that God is extremely giving. There's the saying, goes around, comes around. Completely true. But I would say it comes from God. God is keeping an eye on you, and he's paying attention to you, and he knows the kind of person you are and the kind of things you do. And I don't believe if you're actually genuinely a good person all of the time, that you're not going to get some goodwill back to you. Look at my scenario. If I was being a piece of shit for years with all these chicks, I'd be in jail. I'd be in jail. I could have never seen this coming. But the fact that I was nice, paid their taxi home, bought them food, looked after them. Are you okay? I know we broke up. I'm sorry. I know it hurts. I just did it. I was nice about all of it. Here I am. I'm fine. So I could have never seen this Matrix attack coming. It's amazing how what goes around comes around. It's truly amazing. If you're good to people, if you're generous to people, if you're helpful to people, you'd be amazed how much influence you can build up. I say this to people all the time. I don't think if you're a hardworking person who is honest, who shakes hands, who tries to learn, who does what they're supposed to do, who has a good heart, that you're truly, really not going to be able to get what you want. I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. When I see somebody who says they want something and they don't have it, I don't even think they truly even want it. You can have anything you want in the world. When a guy goes, I want a six-pack, then why ain't you got one? If you wanted it, you'd have it. You'd like it. There's a bunch of things I'd like that I don't have. But I don't want them. Everything I've ever wanted, I've got. I've never wanted something and not had it. We all know what we're talking about here. There's things we'd like. I'd like to be able to figure skate. Not enough to go learn to figure skate.
It's a weird look if you figure, although that other guy dancing like the way you dance is doing a pretty good job.
Bottom G.
You've seen this guy?
He can figure skate.
That guy kills the dance moves.
Yeah, he's good. But
your doppelganger.
But if you truly want something, you're going to absolutely not really have it. So when it comes down to influence, I think you start at the base level, at the grassroots level.
What if this guy's got, like, you know, for example, like, you know how when you were 20, were you this driven?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so when you're 20, who did you look at and say, I can do it as good as him, if not better?
My coach, because I wanted to fight, and he used to beat me badly. Everyone used to beat me up when I was young, and I wanted to be the best. So I used to go into the fight gym.
Okay, how about communication? Who'd you look at? Were you always a good communicator? I can see you being a great communicator since you were 14 years old. Am I pretty?
I was pretty good, yeah.
Okay, who did you look at and say, that guy's good, but I think I can, you know, do it better?
That's a good question. And I think that,
you know what I'm asking.
I know what you're asking. I don't know if there's one particular person I took nuances from, because when you're a great communicator, you know how to be serious, and you know how to make people sad and angry, and you also know how to make people laugh. There's different people who can do lots of different things.
So who was that? Was it somebody that was multifaceted like that?
I think it was a lot of different people. And I also think that...
Did you pull from comedy as well, or no?
Certainly did, but I was also extremely self-critical. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. I'll watch this podcast back 15 times. I will notice every single time I made a mistake. Just then I said, I'll watch twice. That was a mistake. I will watch this back 15 times and I'll identify every single error. I have an email list and I sign up and I get words of the day. I get 5 or 6 new words a day, which I try my very best to memorize. It's harder than you think to memorize 5 words a day, but I always try to make sure I have the most interesting vernacular I can possibly have, a wide vocabulary, so I can be very specific with my points. The reason I actually did that, I keep talking about my dad, but I'm his son. I have the same name, Emory Andrew Tate III. He was Emory Andrew Tate II. My father was a linguist for the CIA. He spoke Russian and German and Spanish and English. And I think I've told this before. Back then, when they needed someone who spoke Russian, they would take a Native American and teach them Russian. Nowadays, we have a bunch of Russian-speaking allies. You can go to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. They're all NATO and just get a Russian speaker. Back then, they taught my dad Russian, and he held the Air Force record for the fastest assimilation of a foreign language. When he died, a guy sent me a message saying, you don't know who I am, but I worked with your father in the Air Force, and he had the fastest assimilation. He learned Russian in 2 weeks. Crazy. And I remember saying to my dad, will you teach me Russian? He said, boy, you don't even know English. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you don't even know English. And once he sat me down with a dictionary, I was like, you're right. I don't even know English. That's why I've lived in Romania 7 years. People say, why don't you speak Romanian? Because I don't know English yet. I need to finish the first job before I learn the second. I don't know English. There's a bunch of words I don't know. I can't speak how he spoke. So I don't have time for a second language. Yeah. Also, another thing I found really interesting, Putin speaks English. Have you ever heard him speak English? No. Because if you want to speak to Putin, you speak to him in his language. You speak to me in Russian, and I reply to you in Russian to you. I cannot be misunderstood or misconstrued. I don't make a fool of myself. You can't get me on some vernacular trick. I speak my language, and I also prefer that also. I speak English. That's what I speak. If you want to speak to me, you speak to me in my language, so I will win the debate always.
Who'd you look up to outside of your dad?
I look up to lots of people.
I'm talking specifically younger age, not today. I'm talking 16, 20, 25, that age. Not today.
It's a good question. Because I always believed in trying to take the best parts of individual people and then amalgamate them. And I know you want a name, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I would look at people who I didn't even respect, but they'd have one particular thing about them. I thought, that's good. It could be somebody I didn't even like, but he dressed well. I think you just have to be perspicacious and look at people, and there's something you can learn from absolutely everybody, and just try and adapt it all. I'm not saying everybody should be clones of me. For everyone's individual, right? But there might be some things about me they find inspiring that they may adapt and take on board, and then they'll find some things from other people. But learning to speak is something I understood from a very young age how important that would be. That's a superpower.
Okay, so let me go back to the question I was asking, where I'm trying to go with this. So I asked the question, I said, imagine the 20-year-old that's watching this, that's saying, no, Tate, don't give me the answer for anybody can create, contribute to society. I'm not that guy. Talk to me like I'm 1 in a million. Talk to me like I'm 1 in. So if I'm willing to give 20 years, 30 years of my life to one way to go up to make true positive impact in America, my country, in the world, what should, don't talk to me like everybody else. Hold the standards. What should I do? What angle should I do?
Okay, so first things first, you need to be worthy of respect. And you're going to be worthy of respect through having things which are difficult to acquire. So first things first, the basic things, you need to be very focused on trying to make money, because people listen to you when you have money. They just do. Secondly, you need to be in fantastic physical condition, because when you're in fantastic physical condition, it cannot be bought. It must be earned. And people know that. When you're I don't know about you. If someone walked in to sell me something and they were obese, I would not trust them the same as if they were in fantastic physical shape. Because I'd say, I don't think you have dedication and heart. I don't think there's something about you that I just wouldn't trust you the same. So fantastic physical condition and money is the first thing. The second thing, whatever your ideas are, you need to learn how to communicate them. Speaking is a superpower in and of itself. You need to become a fantastic communicator. You need to be comfortable in all realms of communication. You need to be persuasive. You need to be comfortable arguing. You need to be good at debating. There's a lot of people out there in the world who have ideas that they can't even project into somebody else's mind. How are you going to rule the world with that? How are you going to get your ideas out there and make an influence if you can't make other people understand exactly what you think? That's the first thing. Second thing, once they understand exactly what you think, you need to make them agree with what you think. These are two different skills. Must be practiced and must be learned. If you're 20 years old and you want to change the world, you need to be having endless debates. Endless. Without resorting to name calling, not on Twitter like a dummy, in person. And you need to come across in a way that people agree with you. We can go back quickly and talk about the red pill. The difference between me when I talk to girls on these panel shows and every other guy when they talk to girls on these panel shows is, when I'm done, all the girls want me. Watch them. Watch the shows. I say the same thing, and by the end, the chicks are in love with me, as opposed to saying the same thing and the chicks thinking I'm a dickhead. That's the difference. I project my ideas and I make them agree with my ideas to a point where they're like texting me afterwards. I'm not saying anything different. It's how I'm communicating it. You can catch more flies with honey than hurting people sometimes. So you need to be good at everything. You need to have a Swiss Army knife of tools. I know when to be intimidating or aggressive. I know when to come across as obtuse. I know when to come across as exceptionally open-minded and easy to understand. I know when to come across as understanding. I know all these things. This all has to be practiced. And a lot of it is, communication. I would say, if you're going to say to a 20-year-old who's truly exceptional and driven, I'd say you need to become a master communicator. Because once you can do that, you can do anything. And that fixes all the other problems, right? We talk about making money. If you're a master communicator, you do fantastic in sales, you'll kill sales. You'll absolutely destroy sales if you're a master communicator. Not many people know this, but I used to sell windows. You know the old school knock on the door? Window sales. I did window sales for 2 or 3 years, and I'd say this is one of the hardest jobs you could possibly do. And I would always recommend a young man, if he has some time to waste, to go sell windows. And the reason, it's fantastic, because I'll tell you why. It's the hardest one to sell because, 1, nobody wants them. 2, they don't know who you are. And 3, even if you convince them that they need windows after them not knowing who you are, then they go to all your competitors and then it becomes a price war. It's a nightmare. It's the hardest sales job. If you're selling a Lambo, at least they want the Lambo, right? Nobody wants glass and plastic. They already have windows. So you got to find a way to sell them these windows. How do you do that? And that's where all this master communication comes in. And it's so many subtle little things. Being a good salesman is not necessarily being a liar. It's not being a trickster. It's just understanding what's going to make the person believe and understand what you say. If I walked in and said, would you like new windows? And they essentially said, no, we don't need new windows. Our windows look fine. I would say, but what about the security aspect? While looking at their 3-year-old child. And they'd sit there and go, what do you mean security aspect? And then I talk about how we had the lock 5000 and their locks are easy to break. As if glass isn't glass. It's all the same anyway. And you'd end up selling the windows. You have to find the triggers in people. There's another thing people don't understand about me and my message. Sometimes I sit here and I say things that piss people off because that's how you trigger people to make action. I have often written emails or done videos to, especially to men when I want to help men, to piss them off. You're a loser. You're a dumbass. Andrew, why you mean? Because you're not going to go to the gym unless I tell you you're a fucking loser. And you are a loser, and I'm not lying to you. You are a loser. The emotional trigger you need to get up off that chair is the fact that you're not important, nobody cares who you are, any girl you're ever in love with I could take, and you're insignificant. And when you die, nobody's interested. That's your fault. You could have been something else. You did that. You failed. It has to be done. You have to be a master communicator. And sometimes that involves also insulting people. It's all a massive tapestry. But to answer your question, for the 20-year-old, he needs to become a master at communicating. But also to be a master at communicating, you also need experiences worth talking about. You have to live a life. You need a degree of wisdom, and wisdom doesn't always come with age. It comes with life lived. I had a guy message me. This is a long time ago when I used to reply to my own emails. Too big now. But he said, I don't have any stories. My life's boring. I said, bro, where do you live? He said, Madrid. I said, bro, ride the train from Madrid to St. Petersburg. Ride the train from Madrid to Vladivostok. Do the Trans-Siberian Railway. Cost you like $300. He goes, oh, but what if I get robbed? Exactly! That's exactly the point! What if you get robbed? Now you have a story. Maybe you'll die, maybe you won't. But you have a story. Don't bring your watch. Have you got a Rolex? No one wants to rob you anyway. Don't worry about it. You're brokey. Get on the train. There has to be that degree of risk to even have a story, because when you have a story, then you can communicate the story. You can't be an empty vessel either. So when you say you're telling me how I build this 20-year-old into a super soldier. Yeah, he has to be a master communicator, but he also has to do things which are risky. Risk has value intrinsically linked to it, intrinsically. This is why people, when you do risky things, people want to hear the story. Your coolest stories involve risk. Something went wrong. This could have happened. I almost this. I made it out. Without these risks, you haven't got it. So I would say to the 20-year-old, do what I did. Get in the cage. Get in the ring. Knock someone out, get knocked out, train hard. Fighting will teach you everything you need to know about life. You'll learn everything about who you truly are. You'll learn if you're a coward or not. You'll learn everything about perseverance and hard work and dedication. Everything about being underappreciated. You learn everything about fear. You learn all of it. You learn everything about people. You win a fight, check your phone. Lose a fight, check your phone. You learn all about people. You learn all about them. You learn all about women. I learned so much about women through fighting. When I had a fight coming up and I was weight drained and I had barely eaten in weeks and I'd lost all this weight and I had a world title fight and I'm fighting a guy who might kill me and she's complaining about the toilet seat. I learned all about women. You learn a lot about life through these difficult processes and paths. And there used to be for men like a rite of passage. In most societies, you had to go through something to become a man, from a boy to a man. But that thing was always difficult. It's always been difficult. Now you have to self-induce it, self-inflict it. But if you're going to be a boy and never bring on that self-inflicted rite of passage, how are you going to ever become a man?
It's great feedback.
There's no light without dark. I think the ancient Chinese nailed it when they put the yin and yang together. You have the black and the white and they flow into each other, and there's a little bit of white in the black, there's a little bit of good in the evil, and there's a little bit of evil in the good. And if life is perfect all the time, you don't appreciate anything. I actually think one of the worst lives you can have is a life where everything goes right all of the time. If you're spoiled to that degree, especially as a man, as soon as you reach any kind of difficulty, you're going to crumble.
Somebody said to me before, they lack energy and they lack motivation. And I said, nobody lacks energy and motivation. You just focus it in the wrong directions. I would guarantee if you find a person who lacks energy and motivation, he's trying to get girls all day, he's messaging girls on Instagram all day who ignore him. I guarantee he gets road rage when somebody cuts him up. No, you get angry and you have energy and you have motivation when somebody pulls in front of you in traffic or when you see some on Instagram, but you don't have motivation to do anything else. You don't lack energy and motivation. It's pointing in the wrong direction. We all have an innate energy inside of us. We all have a life force. And most people are just directing it in the wrong direction completely. And that's why we're getting decimated in real time. The Matrix has come along and it's distracted us all with bread and circuses. And I refuse to do it. I refuse to sign up to things that don't directly benefit my life or benefit the future for my children. I don't think if a sports team wins, it's going to benefit the future for my children. And I don't think if I jump up and down like a fucking ketamine taking peasant in a concert, it's going to benefit my children. You have 10 years left to save your bloodline from eternal slavery. And you lack motivation? You are born to lose, sir. You are a loser. All of your ancestors who fought saber-toothed tigers should have just laid down and died because they fought their best for you to be born so you can jack off to Pornhub during the last few years where you stand a chance to save your last name from eternal serfdom. You are and you deserve to be poor. The last thing you should lack in the mess of the world today is motivation, because you are running out of time. And I'm telling you, as a rich man who made it out, I can see the gap is closing. I can see it. So you should certainly see it. I'm above in the clouds, looking down on the hole closing in. You're down below, looking up, watching it close, and you lack motivation to build a ladder. Oh, well, maybe tomorrow. Doom-de-doom. Maybe government will save me. Maybe if I vote for the liberals, they'll give me money. Slave minds, clowns, fools. The last thing you should lack in the world today is motivation, because truly people are running out of time. When you want to explore all the levels on the map of life, you don't just want all the levels at the top. See, this is the mistake most people make. They sit there in a normal life and they dream of being rich and going on nice vacations and dream of all the nice things. They don't dream of all the bad things. They think they can have all the light with none of the dark. That's not how it works. The only reason you appreciate being rich is because you were poor. If you were born rich, you don't appreciate it. The only reason you appreciate being in good health is because you were once sick. When you're sick, you'll do anything to be healthy. If you've never experienced sickness, you don't know what health is. There is no light without dark.
So I've had to get up a bunch of times. And I do not pray for an easy life. I pray for a difficult life with difficult challenges to solve and being strong enough to handle them. I've never tried to make my life easier. In fact, quite the opposite. And I think that life is going to continue along this way. If you really want an exceptional life and to do exceptional things, you can't only hope for the positive exception. So if you want the highs, you have to accept the lows. And I want the highs. I want to make sure my human experience is as varied as possible. So I've had to get up thousands of times, and I'm sure I'll have to get up thousands of times more, but I know me as a person, and I know I'll never stay down. So I'm not afraid.
Well, I think that envy is designed to motivate, but the Matrix has taken envy and it's corrupted it. So I've always been, I've told this story on other podcasts before, but I've been an envious person. I told this story because it was so pertinent to me about how most people don't care. I was walking to school. I was walking to sixth form college in Luton. I was 16, 17 years old. And I used to have to walk about an hour each day to school, and it was raining, and I was walking. And I was walking with three of my friends in a Ferrari. It was an F430, I think, pulled up at the...
That was my first Ferrari, that one.
Yeah. Pull up at the lights,
made a bunch of noise, and I was standing there and I watched it, and then the light went green and he just tore off. I said to my friends, I was like, bro, how do we get Ferraris? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, my mom is on a council estate, single mother. She raises 3 kids on 300 pounds a month. We can barely afford food. He has 200 grand for a car. Liquid for a car. Something is broken. None of the teachers at school have Ferraris. None of our university professors have Ferraris. No one else I know has a Ferrari. What do we have to do to break the matrix and find the money? This is all a lie. I want a Ferrari. And my friends were like, don't know. That's why I have Ferrari friends. Well, no, that's why I have Ferraris and they don't. That's why I now have 33 Ferraris. Because I was envious. I was envious of this man. Most people don't care.
But you turned envy to learning how to figure it out.
Well, I turned envy into anger, and anger is power. But what we have people doing now, because they don't believe in themselves, because the matrix has dampened their soul, when they feel envious, because they want to level the playing field, which is all envy is. Instead of trying to elevate themselves, they try and drag others down. So when people look at my life and they're envious of me, what they should say is, he's truly from the most humble possible socioeconomic beginnings. He is a person of color from a council estate, a single mother household. He's at the bottom. And he made it up to the highest echelons. He's on the phone with Elon Musk and is a billionaire. If he can do it, I can do it. But they don't believe in themselves. So what they do instead is, well, I want to level the playing field, so I got to drag him down. So envy, when you're trying to drag others down, is actually, it's just laziness. Because you feel envious, but you don't have enough fire about yourself to go out there and attack the world and equal the playing field with vigor. So you want to equal the playing field by dragging someone else down. It's just laziness. Lazy people act that way. If you know good men, all they want to do is, most of the time, is work. What men who are good want to do most of the time is some version of work. Training, making money, organizing their life, getting their car clean, whatever. It's a degree of work. Women love fun. Women want fun all the time. And fun is where all the haramities appear. It's where all the negative organs appear. You're only going to get in a fight if you're going out trying to have fun. You're all like drugs and rape charges and physical violence and assassination. This all is linked to fun.
Yeah.
If you want fun, you're dragging all this shit into your life. Wasting
getting
money.
drunk.
Yeah. If you want to just work, you can avoid a lot of bad things. Someone goes, "Do you want to go out?" I'm like, "No. You can go. Here's the address. My team will take you. Have a great time. Go get a bunch of bitches. Go pop balls. Go do." I'm going to sit here on my computer. I'm boring. But I guess it generates millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars and millions of dollars. So if you have goals you want to achieve, I ask you, what people do you have around you? What network do you have around you of people you can sit down with and they are competent and they're not lazy and they're not stupid and they're not self-interested and they believe in the greater cause where you can work as a fraternity to achieve said goals? How are we going to do this? We now want to do this. How shall we do it? And we got it done. This is what's another thing that's amazing to me about motivation. I don't feel motivated. Newsflash. Neither do I sometimes. You're not going to always feel like doing it. You have to do it anyway because it's your duty to do it because you don't want to be a fucking loser. That's the whole point. If you felt like doing it all the time, then there would be no magic to it. The magic is that you do it regardless of how you feel. That's the whole point of it all. What do you mean you need motivation? You don't need motivation. You have a duty to not be a loser anymore because the hole in the sky is closing. Am I hard on myself? Yes. Does that benefit me? I believe so. I'm hard on myself because life is hard. I think
But could life be easier if you thought life was easy? Because isn't life what you see, not what it is?
What's the point in having an easy life? Why would I want an easy life? If someone were to say to me, "Do you want an easy life?" I'd say, that sounds boring. I mean, did Genghis Khan want an easy life? Did Alexander the Great want an easy life? Did any of the men you can remember from history, any of the ones that actually matter, ever want an easy life? If I meet a man and he says, "I want an easy life, I just want a stress-free life," I look at him and think, "You're born to lose. You're born to lose, sir. You can have your stress-free life, and you can serve me my latte, and you can fuck off. Because you're not made to, life is war. And it's going to be stressful. And
Life isn't always war.
Of course it is. Life is war. Every single aspect of life is war. Not losing your temper in traffic on your way to a podcast is war. Trying to get a girl that the other guy wants is war. Trying to buy a Ferrari that everybody else can't afford is war.
Training is war. Fighting is war. Life is war. I see war everywhere. When I see a big, beautiful oak tree, I don't see a big, beautiful oak tree. I see a tree that destroyed all the saplings around it and crushed them mercilessly. It's war. Life is war.
That's why I'm gearing up for war so heavily, because this war, when people ask me why I don't try and avoid it, I don't think most people understand that this war is coming for everyone. It can't be avoided. You're either going to become someone like me who's fighting against it, the counterculture, or you're going to buy into it and be a victim of it. I don't think any man who wakes up and accepts the garbage that the Matrix tells them, that yeah, it's okay to be depressed, that we just talked about. Yeah, you should be running around doing perkies and Adderall and consuming porn and sleeping with a bunch of and yeah, go to school and get an education and get in debt, and then go get a mortgage and get in debt, and then 9 to 5 and just slave away, and you'll be retired when you're 74. It's going to be fine. All the things they push, all the standardized mechanisms that a man's supposed to live his life by, I believe lead to crippling depression and sadness anyway. I don't think that makes anyone happy.
Let me see. Dude, how do you have so much energy?
Because I don't waste my life force. I haven't been to any stupid concerts. I don't take any stupid drugs. I'm not smoking weed like an idiot. I'm not cheering for a sports team. All of my life force is inside of me so I can master the 7 styles of Aikido and tell the conservatives are fucking dorks.
Nerds.
That's why. They're all nerds. They're nerds. I'm full of life force. I'm the man who will struggle to the end. I'm that guy. If an alligator were to get hold of me, not only would I snap its neck, but let's imagine 20 alligators got hold of me and they got lucky and somehow managed to decimate me until the last second where I lost consciousness. I would be snapping necks of alligators. To the last second, I refuse to die. I'm that guy. I don't waste an ounce of my life force on anything that's unimportant. Ever. So I refuse to be distracted. The Matrix wants to distract me. They've identified me. They're like, Andrew Tate is a threat. He's full of power and he believes in God and he's a slick talker and he motivates people and he has a bunch of money and he's big and strong and tall and handsome and charming and interesting. He's got a Long Johnson. We have to distract this man. We have to give him something he's interested in outside of fighting the Matrix. And they're trying to come at me with all these beauty queens and these sponsorship contracts, and I'm resisting it all. No, I have a mission and I'm on the mission. We're talking to the people. It must be animated. We have a job to do. We must let the people at home know that enslavement's coming for their entire life and their bloodline unless they resist. Stop watching the fucking Super Bowl. Stop going to stupid concerts and instead be motivated about your family's future.
You're going to feel happy as a man when you feel respected and needed. You need a purpose. People need to need you alive. If you're the kind of man who everyone's life can function perfectly fine if you get struck by lightning, then you're not going to feel happy. You're going to feel happy when you realize that people need you. And for them to need you, you have to be useful and you have to be competent. And whether that's children or your girlfriend or your parents or anyone else who cares about you, I think living for other people is one of the most beautiful things a man can do because it gives you a purpose, a higher purpose. And most of the men out there who live normal lives do exactly that. Why do they work jobs? They work jobs for other people. They don't do it for themselves. Yeah. They don't even keep most of the money. It goes on the kid, the wife, the house, and they're taking care of others. And that's a masculine imperative God has instilled in us, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think if you're going to do that, you may as well do it for your own offspring. Who else are you doing it for?
My favorite food is pride. I do, and I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I love when my woman comes to me and goes, you know what? You just fix everything. They had you in jail, Andrew. You were supposed to be done. They're lying about you all over the MSM. They're saying you're a human trafficker. They stole all your money. They froze all your banks. Why am I on a jet with roses? Because I'm the top G. That's why. Because I'm that guy. She's like, you've just never failed. I've never seen you fail. It's correct. I do not fail.
So when I see somebody who doesn't have what they want, I know they haven't tried their hardest. And that's a constant universal fact. I've never seen somebody truly dedicate themselves to anything and fail. I've never seen anybody truly try and fail in history ever.
So I wake up and go, let me do the math. If I never worked again, I could spend $422,000 a day for this month. I have all the cards. Do I need them? No. Maybe I'll have a coffee. Let me try and chill out today. And within 22 minutes, I'm back on my laptop. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. And I can't stop myself working as a person who doesn't need money. And then there's people with no money who don't work. It blows my mind, which is why the winners are winners and the losers are losers. Losers do a little bit of work and rest. Winners work as hard as possible and worry they're not working hard enough. It's just a separation of personality types. And it's almost like you can't save these people. So am I hard on myself? Yes.
Will that change? No. Life is war. Life is hard. You're supposed to be hard on yourself. Perhaps most men would benefit from being a lot harder on themselves. I think I see a lot of men coming up with a lot of excuses for permanent failure. I see it all the time. Why? I can't pay my bills. Okay, cool. Why? Oh, because it's hard. It's all just sympathy bull. I don't want to hear it. It's garbage. It's hard. It's hard for everybody, and you're gonna have to just be harder on yourself and pull it off, or fail. And don't talk to me. Bro, it's. I don't know what to say. I don't want to come across as a psychopath, but it's like life is difficult.
I made this decision to be this man, and I understood exactly what it comes with. And a lot of people at the bottom see all of the benefits. They see our cars, see the private jets, they see the girls, they see the status, and they want all of that, but they don't want the negatives. And that's why they're never going to get it.
Yep.
Because on your way up, you're going to start getting hit with the negatives. You're going to be derailed. There's no way to get to the top without dealing with monumental levels of stress. I often say the reason a lot of people don't have the things they want is they couldn't handle the things they want. They couldn't handle the life that is required to get the things they want. They simply would get anywhere near it and start to panic and pussy out and just go on holiday and hide on a beach and delete their social media.
Give it comments.
Bro, mean comments. I've got street problems. You think I give a about mean comments from some anon? It's difficult for me to put into words how much I don't care. But there's people out there that do care.
Yeah.
And then they think, oh, I want to be like Top G, but you can't handle a comment on the internet. Bruv, these people are born to lose. So you have to decide, you need to look in the mirror and really make a decision. Because I think perhaps if you want to build a life, choosing your life path and knowing which life path you want to go down is going to allow you to be the most effective in the construction of that life. If you say, I can't handle that stress, I want to be somewhere in the middle, then accept it, accept the good and bad that comes with that, accept the kind of life you want to build and go do it. But don't sit there and say, I want to be Top G, I want to live this great life, and you're not prepared for war.
Yeah. So I said this even to a girl I was dating. I said, you're happy all the time. And I love that because I'm stressed. And I'm not complaining about being stressed. I think the masculine role is to wake up stressed. I wake up stressed. I wake up and I've got a bunch to do, a bunch of people to talk to, a bunch of money to make, etc. I'm stressed. I'm not miserable, but I'm certainly concerned all of the time. I'm focused all of the time. I'm always busy. I have a lot going on. I'm never relaxed. I'm never at peace. That's not who I am as a person. I think that you're supposed to be stressed, but I actually love feeling stressed. I do best when I'm stressed.
It pushes you.
I've had 87 professional fights. For about 3 of those fights, for some reason, I wasn't nervous, and it really bothered me. So why am I not nervous? I like feeling nervous. I like being stressed. I fight better. I react quicker. Have you ever been jumped, like you get scared, someone jumps out at you? That's when you're the fastest you've ever been.
Yep.
So I think stress is a fantastic motivator. It's a beautiful thing. And my stress comes from the fact that I don't have enough. But is it for me, or is it for just being able to care about all the people I care about?
If you don't have the mental control to force yourself to do push-ups or force yourself to be happy and distract yourself with something asinine or force yourself to change your own thoughts, you're going to sit there in a cycle of depression and sadness.
I think one of the only things in life you truly have control over is your state of mind. You can't even control if your heart keeps beating. It can stop anytime it wants. You can't control the weather. You can't control if the police bust your door down. You can't control if the Matrix decides to coordinate all of the media in the world to say you're something you're not. You don't have control over much, but you do have control over your state of mind and how you react to things. And I see God in all things. I see God in all outcomes and all situations. And I believe that he is the best of planners, and he is giving us tests for us to learn and grow. And I never allow my state of mind to betray me. I've never lost control of my head. I've never felt depressed. I've never felt sad. I've never felt sorry for myself. I've never been able to get rid of a thought I didn't want to get rid of. And I think that we live inside of our own minds. And as long as you control your mind, you get to control your reality. So I don't think I've ever lost control. And I don't think I ever will lose control. No matter what happens to me, I'll always control my mind and control how I view it. And I view all things as a positive, no matter how negative they seem. I see the positive in everything, and I see the lesson in everything, and I see God in everything. So for that reason, I will confidently state I've never lost control, because all that we have is our state of mind, and I own mine.
I have something I said in my email recently. I said, you could give the average man a brand new Ferrari and a road map and a coffee and a full tank of gas and tell him the destination, success. And halfway along the drive, he'll quit. It's too far. No matter how well you set it up for people, they'll quit. One more. I've given you a Ferrari, a full tank of gas. I've given you the latte. I've given you a road map. I've given you a hot girl to sit next to you and play songs, do selfies. I've given you everything. Just drive the car. No, yeah, it's far. I don't have motivation. You're a loser. You are a loser. If you do not win, you lose. What do you call someone who loses? A loser. The gap is closing. The elites hate you. You no longer have sexual consent. You're a permanent criminal in the eyes of the law. They're here to decimate you and your entire bloodline. You're 22 at the height of your capabilities, the height of your energy. You heal like Wolverine. It is Friday. Are you making money? What are you doing? Oh, there's this band. I really want to see this band. And I guess you just deserve to lose, friend. I guess you're just an idiot. And I don't feel sorry for you. I guess you're just a dummy. And that's how I feel. So imagine how the elites feel. We're scum to these people. We are. I'm not a rich man. I'm just a poor man with loads of money. I'm from a Luton, Kansas. I wear diamond watches, bro. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
I'm just a poor man with billions of dollars. But it's scary when you start to understand how all these things really work. And I don't think the average man at home understands this. And if you start to understand it all, the last thing you will lack is motivation. How can you lack motivation? How can an antelope in the jaws of a tiger say, I lack motivation? I'm tired. I'm horny. I want to jerk off. Bro, they're ripping out your throat in real time. You're bleeding out. Fight back.
Whatever you do, you've got to be a little bit gone to it. You're not all there. You've got to be almost insane to your craft. Not a lot of people can understand that. That's why I don't know about nothing else. I do not pay attention to nothing else. That's my life. Sequences and numbers. Nothing else. I cannot pay attention to nothing else.
The first rule of success is to have a vision. You see, if you don't have a vision of where you go, and if you don't have a goal where you go, you drift around and you never end up anywhere. It's like you can have the best ship in the world, you can have the best airplane in the world. If the pilot or the captain doesn't know where to go, it would just drift around. It would not end up anywhere, or most likely in the wrong place. My vision was totally different. I felt that I was born for something special, for something unique, for something big. So I was searching. I want to become a bodybuilding champion, just like Reg Park. Do you know how great it felt that I knew where I was going? Imagine the majority of people don't know where they're going. I knew where I was going, that I'm going to become this bodybuilding champion, just like him. So it was just a question of how do you do it? I was so relieved, because when you have a goal, when you have a vision, everything becomes easy. The majority of people don't like what they're doing, because they're really not doing it because they didn't have a goal and they followed this goal. They just aimlessly drift around, and then all of a sudden there's a job opening, so they get that job because you have to work. But then when you work, it's a chore. It's work. It's not fun. So if you think about, only a quarter of the people really enjoy what they're doing in life. That is unbelievable if you think about it. So I felt so blessed that I knew what I was doing. It's like a medical student that studies and knows he wants to become a doctor. You know where to go. So I knew where to go.
There's no light without dark. If you love anything on the planet, you'll be called hateful against something else. The only people who aren't hateful are people who don't love anything and don't stand up for anything. I feel happiest when I do the things I'm supposed to do because I'm supposed to do them. Doing what you're supposed to do and fulfilling your duty and being proud of yourself is fun. That's the only fun you need. You don't need the fun of trying to chase all this garbage and this hedonism and this black hole. That doesn't lead anywhere. Well, I feel sad, but it doesn't matter because I'm doing the right thing. I feel depressed or I feel stressed, but it doesn't matter because I'm dedicating myself.
I had to believe in it. I had to feel it. I had to have faith in it for it to happen.
I'm in phenomenal shape, in body and mind. To me, what's unhealthy is living an unhealthy life. To me, what's unhealthy is getting up and going through the same day every day of your life, 9 to 5, in an office or in a, you know what I mean? That's unhealthy. That beats your mind. I don't work. I love what I do. And that's why I'm doing what I love. You know what I mean? That's why it's become a career for me, because I love it. I love what I do. So I don't think it's unhealthy. I feel good in my mind. You know what I mean? It's my life.
So people always ask me, when they saw me in the gym in the pumping iron days, they say, why is it that you're working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face. The others are working out just as hard as you do, and they look sour in the face. Why is that? And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. In front of me is the Mr. Universe title. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that goal, to make this goal, this vision, turn into reality. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. So I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 2,000 reps of sit-ups. I couldn't wait for the next exercise, for the next half hour of posing and all the kind of things that you have to do to be a champion. I felt so great knowing where I was going. And I tell you, it worked. I mean, think about it. And I was just not visualizing just my exercise, but I was really lifting the trophy over my head. That's what I was thinking about.
I think one of the largest tenets of masculinity for the largest period of human time is ignoring how you feel and doing what you're supposed to do because you're supposed to do it. We feel things, but jobs must be done, whether we are happy or sad. I'm stressed probably 6 days a week. I'm pissed off 6 days a week, but things need to be done.
Right.
So you just have to do them. I think humans, we're designed to struggle a bit because the closer you are to struggle, the more sensible you are. Hard times create good men create good times, and the good times create a bunch of weaklings, and they mess everything up. Like, I think that inside of the human psyche, sometimes you need to be shocked. You need to be hammered with something. That's just how it goes. Cause until then you're like, maybe I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah.
What is life without difficulty in the first place? What is life? What is the point of life without difficulty? But in a world where everyone's chasing comfort and I'm chasing challenges, I really do think that would be a story.
I don't do nothing any different. I still come to the gym. There's people trying to get me to do this and get me to do that. In order to be successful at this game, it needs to be 24/7. I need to be living in this gym. And that's since this new facility, SBG Concord, has opened up, the setup now is I come here at 1, 2 o'clock in the day and I'm here till 10 o'clock at night. There's no outside distraction. There's no nothing. It's been crazy. The spotlight is on. The Irish public are watching, but it's what we planned. It's what we prepared. I knew I was going to be the person to bring martial arts to the public eye. It's that hard work pays off, that dreams come true. And that's what's happening.
And it was because I had a goal. And this is no different than anything else, what I'm talking about. This is not just about bodybuilding. And so I had this in my mind, no matter how much I bleed on my elbows or my knees, and I would do it over and over again until we got it. So let me tell you something, visualizing a goal and going after it makes it fun. You got to have a purpose no matter what you do in life. You got to have a
could be. And I'm not happy with who it is. And I think that every man should be like that, so he gets up off his ass and does something. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world.
Yeah. Your winner, fighting out of the blue corner from the USA, Andrew the King Cobra, Tate!
I don't know if the fire inside of me is any bigger than it is inside of every other man. And I think that every man at home watching this, if they don't have the things they want in life, should feel a degree of resentment towards themselves or disappointment, understanding that they have the same desire and drive that I have. They just allowed themselves to be psyoped out of it.
I don't believe in the societal paradigms
in which they have tried to construct this idea of happiness. I don't believe or subscribe to the way that happy and sad is currently understood by the masses of the population. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world. Yeah. I don't need to read a self-help book. I don't need to read about motivation or confidence. I think if you are anything less than absolutely distraught, you are happy. You're a version of happy. It's like saying gray is a version of black, right? No matter how light the gray is, you can still call it a version of black. And unless you've gone through an event, which hopefully doesn't happen too often, like the passing of a family member or something that's truly destructive and detrimental to your mindset, besides these events, which hopefully only happen a few times in your life, you should be happy. If you're not crying or paralyzed in silence due to the absolute magnitude of a detrimental circumstance or the absolute magnitude of a negative event, then you are a version of happy. So I am always happy is the short answer. I don't believe in not being happy. I don't believe in not saying to myself I'm happy. I'm always a version of happy. And this idea of chasing happiness and always being concerned and preoccupied with how happy you are is actually the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, I think, in the world today. Especially men who wake up and go, I don't really feel happy, so I need to get happier. And that's how they end up down a hedonistic path of drugs or alcohol or gambling, chasing pleasure. I don't care how I feel. Yeah. I don't care if I feel happy or sad. It doesn't really affect what I do each day. I do the exact same things. I act the exact same way. I don't care. Yeah. I don't put weight to the significance of the emotion. So I always consider myself a happy person, but if I woke up and I was slightly less happy one day than another, it wouldn't affect anything I do and I wouldn't put any relevance to it. I'm human and that's life. And so, am I any happier now that I have hundreds of millions of dollars than before I was broke? Yeah. Not really, but I was never unhappy. I'm the same state that I was then that I am now. I have work to do and I will do it. It's as simple as that. But also there's no light without dark. And there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain. Exactly. And no matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends. And you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. Mm-hmm. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness. Yeah. As long as I'm alive, which is a struggle, unfortunately, in the current climate, but as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. I have things to do.
You're too busy to think about that.
I'm too busy. I have things to do every single day. I have very important things to do, and how I feel really is not going to affect how I complete those tasks.
Right.
And when I speak to men, they say I'm unhappy or I need to be happier. I think that's absolutely the wrong frame of life. You're a man, you have duty, you have honor, you have things you should be doing regardless of how you feel. And the people who are perma-obsessed with happiness or sadness, I just think it's the wrong paradigm to view the lens of life. I think you should get up and do what needs to be done. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world. Yeah. I don't need to read a self-help book. I don't need to read about motivation or confidence. I've been in the cage smashing people's faces in. I don't need to learn any of that stuff. So I learned in reality, and reality is always going to be a better teacher than a book, because you're not learning when you read books. You're regurgitating. You may be reading, but I don't believe you're truly learning. My coach used to say, if it doesn't hurt, you didn't learn. And I think he's completely right. And it's the same with entire life. You see people make the same mistake over and over again until it eventually goes really wrong. Yeah. And it's only then they'll change.
Then they change.
So absolutely. So I learned how to become self-disciplined and become self-motivated and work hard, and I learned how to face adversity and find strength within myself I didn't know I had, because people were trying to kill me inside of a cage. I think as a young man, if you want to get your life better, the most important thing you have are your waking hours. You need to be out competing all the other people on the planet who are hyper competitive, and if you think you have 8 hours to sit there and just read a book, you are wasting your time. You are too slow and you are going to lose against people like me. because we're just too quick, too fast. Our networks are too various and large, and we make decisions too quickly, and we absorb information too quickly, and you're just behind it.
I understood from a young age I had to stick up for myself and defend my ideas, and my ideas were always different, and I was always an outcast, I guess, to a degree, and that certainly played a part later on in my life, because it's been very easy for me to look at the programming the Matrix is trying to push down my throat and just say no. Dad had his own philosophies. We definitely never read any philosophical books. We didn't study any old philosophers, but he'd say things now which you can even still see his Twitter. If you want to see a philosopher, you can go through his Twitter now and see all of the things he was saying when he was still alive.
Yeah.
But I think life is actually pretty simple. There's action and reaction. There's cause and effect. There's brave people and there's cowards. A lot of people are self-interested. And if you understand the basis of these motivations, it's not difficult to work out why the world functions the way it does. And cause and effect and action and reaction are very real. And I think one of the largest plagues we have in the world today is a lack of action amongst people, and deciding not to act is an action in and of itself, right? And that's the only philosophy you need for life. If you want something to move, you have to move it. If you sit and wait for somebody else to move it, you're a coward. And you're just hoping it's going to happen. And that's why I don't understand when a lot of people who see where the world is going and see the future that's going to be laid out for their children kind of just hope and pray. A lot of people, I think all men are born with a masculine desire to conquer Earth. And I think you're only going to be happy if you're conquering. But if you're living a semi-comfortable life and your mother is nice to you and you're not under any pressure and the Matrix is telling you it's fine to just be average, well, then you're going to be sitting there being average. I was never comforted. I was never given an easy life. I never had anyone in my life who was saying, don't worry, Andrew, it's okay to just be this guy. I was told the opposite all the time. I don't know if the fire inside of me is any bigger than it is inside of every other man. And I think that every man at home watching this, if they don't have the things they want in life, should feel a degree of resentment towards themselves or disappointment, understanding that they have the same desire and drive that I have. They just allowed themselves to be psyoped out of it. They've allowed the Matrix or whoever to convince them it's okay to not be the man they could be. And I never allowed anybody to do that to me. I know that I'm right because the way I think allows me to be correct in every scenario I've ever been in. I know when someone's going to hurt me. I know when my time's almost up. I know how to make a bunch of money. I know all of it. I've never been wrong about anything. Every time I've ever been truly sad, again, it was beneficial for me to feel that way. And yes, there was a point when that was semi-conscious, and now it's not conscious at all. If I start to feel angry, it's not conscious. I am angry completely and utterly, and I trust my body and my spirit that I'm supposed to be angry, and I'm supposed to act within that frame. And that's what true enlightenment is, because thinking outside of it and being conscious of it is good, but it takes time. And often, in the most extreme scenarios of life, the one thing you will not have is very much time. There has to be instant and complete decisions, and there has to be final scenarios, what's the word I'm looking for? Consequences. The bad things that are happening to you are what you need to become the man that you want to be. I can't talk about women because I'm not one. I actually think trauma is terrible for women because it masculinizes them. They become cold, and that's not attractive, right? We want feminine, pure, protected women. I don't want a woman to ever go through anything bad in her life. I think a man should go through it for her and protect her, because I think that's how she's her best self as a woman. But I think to be your best self as a man is the absolute opposite. And when someone emails me and says, this has happened to me, I'm like, good. No, what do you mean good? It's terrible. How else are you going to become important? How else are you going to find endless fire to get up and struggle in the face of the competition that's out here in the world? How else are you're going to do all that with a nice, cushy life? If any man's honest with himself, think about the biggest transformative stages in your life. Think about the times you got the most work done. It was a bad part of your life. You were heartbroken, or, you lost a house, or broke, or whatever. That's when you did shit. When everything was fine, when the woman's still sucking dick, the mortgage is paid, dinner's on time, it's kind of doop-de-doop-de-doo. Little by little, do a little bit of work, do a little bit of relax. But the big events come from trauma. This is it. So it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code to climb the mountain. So when I get a message from whoever and he goes, my wife left me, I'm devastated. I say, I understand. I completely understand how hard it can be to lose a woman that you've given your entire life to. And you've done so many nice things. And then because of one thing you did, her innate and absolutely insane level of ungratefulness has turned her bitter, and she now talks to you like she hates you over one thing you've done after thousands of efforts showing how dedicated you are to her. And even now that you're prepared to die for her, she doesn't give a shit about you. I understand that pain. But my answer is, good, it's still good. Now take all of that pain, and instead of emailing me, do this. And then you're gonna become the kind of person that women don't leave. Then you win.
I'm ready to kill. I don't do this for fun. This is not sport to me. I don't enjoy it. I hate training. I hate fighting. This is war. I was born for this. I have no choice. I'm in it to kill. That's it. Pain. That's all I know.
So for someone to come along and try and convince me that my mental model and my way of viewing the world is inaccurate, it's going to be extremely difficult, because I'm going to sit and say, well, my mental model produces X to this accuracy, and you're a dumbass. So what can you predict, my friend? And that's the reality of the world. So my stories are being told, the lessons of them at least, when I'm speaking. Yes, I am misunderstood. I'm misunderstood because the things I say are a large web of nuance, and they're interlinked. And if you take one individual part from the web, then completely I understand how some things can be massively misunderstood. I also understand that most people have no interest in the truth and no interest in digging deeper and finding out the truth about a person or a scenario. If you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you can think, and you're not trying your absolute best, that's the reason you're not lucky. He doesn't like you. He likes the people which show him the beauty of his own creation. He likes to give somebody building blocks and them to build something amazing. It's the best thing about being a man. You get to build who you are, right? You can decide if you want to be a funny comedian or a musician or a kickboxing world champion or fight the Matrix. You can decide whatever you want to be. God loves to see that. Those people, for some reason, seem to be enormously lucky, right? The person who goes, I don't have to prove anything to God. I don't owe all of my ancestors any effort. You know, for 5,000 years, people were dodging saber-toothed tigers and catching the plague and running from Genghis Khan just for my stupid ass to be born. I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them a thing because I want to play video games. These people are fucking losers. You should walk through Earth with force inside of you. As I walked into this hotel reception, everybody looked. Not because they know who I am, but because as I move, even if it's behind their head, people feel something and they go, it's an energy that comes from brutal competence. It's almost like an evolutionary thing where a rabbit can just smell a fox. It just knows. That's what happens when a predator walks in a room, even amongst humans. You pay attention next time you're in a restaurant. If a man who's truly dangerous walks in, nearly every other man kind of looks up at the same time. You feel it. You need to or you don't survive. We've evolved with that to live. That's who I am. I couldn't imagine not being that man. I've done that because I've been trying to prove myself to my lineage my entire life. I wake up every day with something to prove. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. I wake up and think, fuck, more. I'm in fantastic shape, 4 times world champion. Fighting the Matrix out here by myself, more. I will have to be braver. I must try harder. All I do is prove myself. So when I hear people go, I don't have nothing to prove, then you're a fucking loser. Peasants have never felt like they needed to prove anything. But kings felt like they needed to go and conquer land. Isn't that it's coincidental that the king, who already had it all, felt like he needed to go to some far-flung land and conquer it and take it and prove he's the king. But the peasants, oh, I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You're a fucking loser then. You're a dummy. I absolutely and utterly completely have everything to prove to everybody all of the time. That's who I am. I will prove anything to anybody. If I sit and say X, I will prove it to anyone. I can be checked at any time. If someone were to come up to me in that lobby and argue with my ideas, I would have proved that my ideas are sound. If they would have attacked me, I would have destroyed them completely and absolutely. That's who I am. So yes, I have a lot to prove, my friend. And until the day I die, it will remain. And this is the true height of the slave mind. If you can convince somebody to have a strong emotional reaction about a subject they don't even understand, imagine the level of slave these people are. Imagine if every time you saw the color red, you just lost your mind. You're a slave. You're controlled. every single time I've been furiously angry or even in a murderous rage, it's been a very appropriate time to be so. And I don't mean appropriate because of the reasoning. I'm not saying I had a good reason to be angry. I'm saying that it was the best decision at the time. Every time I've ever been truly sad, again, it was beneficial for me to feel that way. There are times in life there are times in life when murderous rage is the best possible option on the table. There are times in life where if you're genuinely threatened, the best possible emotion you can feel is murderous rage, right? There's times when it's appropriate. There's times when it's good to be sad, and there's times when it's good to be empathetic, and there's times when it's good to be ruthlessly psychopathically cold. So I think enlightenment is making sure that your brain and soul and spirit are trained in a way that the emotions you feel at any given time are the best possible card in the deck. Of all the options you have in the playbook, depending on the scenario, your own spirit gives you the exact perfect way to feel to handle that scenario in the most effective and compendious way possible.
I knew I needed to become successful and become a kickboxer and get money. And I knew all of these things from a very young age. And I remember being 17, 18, seeing a Ferrari on the street and being like, fuck, I need to get one of them. I just kind of knew inside. And I knew it, and it's worked out for me. That's all great. But now I use hypergamia against women completely because I know that they'd rather share an alpha than have 100% of a beta.
Right.
I know that even though they may sleep with me and then cry their eyes out the next day because I'm with some other girl, but I know they're not going to leave. If you always have a higher purpose, then a woman can never truly control you, and she can never truly destroy you, and your frame can't be broken. If I had to go train for a fight and the girl was complaining, well, then she could fuck off and leave because I ain't getting my ass kicked for nobody, not you or no one else. I have to go fight in front of 10,000 people, so I don't care if it's your birthday. I'm going to the fucking gym.
I don't care. Put someone in front of me. Put someone in front of me. That's all I have to say.
Do I enjoy training? No. Do I enjoy cutting weight? No. Am I nervous? Yes. Do I think to myself, what am I doing? Yes. Completely. Unfortunately, it's one of those things you're either born with or you're not. And the only way I can explain it to try and make it make any sense is that if I'm not doing something which is either extremely difficult or extremely stressful, I'm in a perpetual state of crippling boredom. I can't explain it. I see other people live their lives and they're like, oh, I can't wait for the weekend because I want to watch this movie. I think, who cares about a movie? You're looking forward to the weekend for a movie? Looking forward to the weekend to get drunk? Like, these things to me are so mundane. They mean nothing. And if I don't fight, if I'm not in a situation where I'm stressed or worried or concerned, I'm just perpetually bored. And boredom's crippling. If you're an intelligent person and you've got a good brain on your shoulders, you can't just sit there bored, you know? So most smart people take the academic route to avoid boredom. They learn, but that's never really interested me either. Although I've always been an intelligent guy and I've always done well academically, it never really interested me. And then I see people climb Mount Everest or jump off buildings or do base jumping, or the guy who jumped from space. People think, what's he doing? He's crazy. I understand. Because some people can't live normal lives. Some people cannot just function 9 to 5 office job, get drunk at the weekends. That is not for some individuals, and it's not for me. So I have to find something which keeps me physically tired enough to stop me going AWOL, and mentally tired enough. And I've chosen fighting, because without this, when I'm not in training, I wake up every day and think, okay, what am I going to do today? It's 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, I'm bored, everyone's at work, I'm bored, and I'll end up doing something crazy. I'll either end up drunk or on the Eurostar, or, you know, it's just a random lifestyle, because I'm constantly looking for never-ending entertainment, and it doesn't exist. I think the only thing that could stop me fighting is if I had enough money to constantly entertain myself. Unless I'm a billionaire, I need something that keeps me focused and keeps me occupied in life. With fighting, I have to train twice a day, and I have to train hard, and the stress it brings in every aspect can replace fun, and my mind is occupied. It occupies me. It's the only way I can try and explain it. It occupies me, and I could never stop doing this even if I lost 100 fights, because I'm not built to live a normal existence. I can't do it. I couldn't just have a kid with some girl and sit at home and work a little bit and relax. I've never relaxed my entire life. I don't know what relaxing is. It's just not me.
So I always had a higher purpose, and that allowed me naturally to build a frame where I learned that
it's better to never submit. And that relationships are happier if I never submitted. So I always kind of had that. So I kind of learned everything I knew by just being preoccupied with something completely separate. And it was something that took a lot of my time and 100% of my concentration. So that's kind of where I learned my frame. And now even when I stop fighting, my frame's the same. I believe the most miserable existence on earth is living a life pretending to be something you're not. I really believe it. And that's why I don't for a second hide what I do or apologize to anybody. If you look at what I do and it offends you, the hate is inside of you. The hate ain't inside of me. You need to go look in the mirror and deal with your own problem. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. And I'm the same with women. If you get with me and then you start complaining about how I am, you better fucking leave, because I'm not.
Like women try and say, why do you still live with your brother? Why don't you want to live with me? Da-da-da. And I try and explain to them that, one, I don't think I can be my most competitive without him. Two, I'm most emotionally stable with him. I like the idea. I'm most competitive with him. I'm my best version of me. If it doesn't matter if I have to go into a fight, doesn't matter if I have to run a business, I'm better with Tristan by my side than I would be by myself. And three, my ideal family life, even my ideal family, the way I live my life now, is very much more like a clan than a nuclear family. I like me, my girl, my kids, Tristan, his girl, his kids, my cousin, his girl, his kids. I like this idea of lots of people. I like that. I like that feeling. So girls say to me, well, you don't want a family. Like, no, I want a family bigger than you want. I just don't want to just sit with you. I want a lot of people around me, and I think it's better for that. And I think it's better for the children, especially. Also, I think they enjoy it more. But yeah, I've got the best brother on the planet. I truly do. And this is why I'm saying some of our best days of our lives are in jail.
If I feel extremely happy and excited, I'm going to use that as motivation or energy to do amazing things and do good and work hard. If I feel absolutely depressed and distraught, I'm going to use that as endless energy and motivation to do amazing things and work hard. It doesn't matter what you give me. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted and transferred. It doesn't matter what fuel you give me. If you give me diesel, petrol, kerosene, vodka, doesn't matter what you put inside of my engine.
Hard work is going to come out.
Absolutely. That's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
That's all I know how to do. It doesn't matter what fuel you put in my engine. My engine only knows how to do one thing, and that is succeed. That's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you feed me with. I'm going to be massively successful regardless.
Yeah.
Doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
I was now the oldest man alive in the Tate family. I had to look after my mother and my siblings and take care of people. I had to make a choice. Do I fly back to America and spend money and time and go to this funeral and, waste a few weeks? Or do I sit here and just focus on this enterprise and make sure that it cannot fail? And we talked earlier about speed. Most people go, it's only 2 weeks. It's only a week. It's only a week. People who say it's only a week are the people who are broke.
They don't value time.
That's the reason you're all poor, because you say it's only a week. So, it's tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it later. It's only an hour. It's only a day. It's only a minute. You are competing against people like me. We do not waste a second.
I just personally could never sleep at night knowing, I got 100 million in property, I'm good. Because I'd be like, I don't have anything. I have to be quiet and I have to be careful. And if they don't like me, they'll get me. That to me doesn't feel like ownership. Ownership is they can't take that off of me. That's true ownership. So you don't own property. It's a scam. It's a lie. Let me give you a quick story. I bought an Aston Martin DBS 3 months ago. I pulled up outside the hotel. I bought it in London. I pulled up at the hotel. I parked in the double yellow. I left it there. Traffic warden was right there. So I'm going to give you a ticket. And I said, bro, have you ever seen James Bond look for parking? Give me a fucking ticket. Don't care. Put a ticket on it. Went in the hotel. Stayed in the hotel come on, I'm busy. Stayed in the hotel for 4 days. Ticket. It came out to a window. It was on my Instagram before they deleted it. A window of tickets. Now, how do they enforce those tickets? Well, we said they'll take your home off you, right? I don't own anything. I don't even own that car. And the car's not in the country anymore. It's sitting in my house in Bulgaria. So now what the fuck are you gonna do? So I got thousands of pounds of parking tickets, and guess what happened? Nothing. Zero. Because I don't play by the stupid rules the Matrix tells me to play by. If I was Joe Schmo and I ignored them, I would lose my home. But me, I could turn up, tell them to get fucked, and do whatever I want. And what you'll actually learn is that much like parking tickets, pretty much all laws on Earth and all rules on Earth have there's an economic level to which you must adhere, and there's an economic level to which you don't have to adhere. Anything that's financial in and of itself is basically saying it's okay for rich people to do anyway. Let's say I agreed to pay the fine. Cool. I didn't have to look for parking. I paid $3,000. That's worth 5 minutes of my time. So it's basically saying it's okay for a price.
So it's okay for rich people. It's not okay for poor people. Whenever there's a fine as a punishment, they're basically saying no poors, no brokies, or rich people can do it. Look at banks. They make billions of dollars breaking the rules and pay $1 million fine. It's okay for the rich. Not allowed to do it for poor. If you do that, if you pull off some fraud as a brokey, guess what happens? Jail time. Do the bankers go to jail? Fucking never. This is the whole way the whole entire world works. So, extrapolating that out, yes, at a certain economic level, there are things you can do and Aikido you can pull that make property fantastic. But as a brokey, bullshit. That's the point.